Open meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission for July 31st, 2023. Item number 1 is 15 Richmond Road discussion with MBTA. All right,
Thank you. I just want to introduce the team here. I think
Right.
you all know me, Jean Fox. I've been with the project for almost 30 years. This is Carolyn and Karen. She's with the real estate folks. Well, you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Carol Ann, I'm with the Office of Real Estate from the MBTA.
I'm Holly Conran, I'm a PM on the South Coast Rail Project for the
Deputy
MBTA.
project manager.
Oh, sorry.
And Kenny Caputo, I'm with VHB with the design and HNTB joint venture with a design firm for the project.
all right.
So 15 Richmond Road was a property, well, there was a house there that we ended up taking because it would have just been an untenable situation to live there.
Mhm.
Thankfully, we did very little of that project wide, but that was one we took. And with that was quite a bit of property that we then gave to the Conservation Commission because we did that walking path
Mhm.
on the other side. We thought this would be a great place for people to kind of arrive and then watch the, or even just look at the water, whatever they wanted to do, but another place to go. Unfortunately, we were, is it negligent?
No,
No.
Preemptive.
Preemptive. We handed everything over without thinking what we needed to do, which was put some very important equipment on a portion of that property, a small portion, albeit a small portion, still a portion of the property that we gave you. So this is an oops moment
Mhm.
for us, that we think we can rectify. It's gonna take some time to do that. It doesn't happen instantly. It should not preclude use, but it allows us to access, our area. So what do we have out there? The big house, the signal house. Oh, yeah, yes, hand those out, because that has this tiny print
Uh-huh.
plan.
Oh, I printed it out on 11 by.
Oh, you were much
It's a
smarter
little
than I
bigger.
was.
Yeah. Printed a bunch.
Yeah, so
The
the
plan's
last,
attached to the.
the
back.
last page has the plan where you'll see the area in red, what we're talking about for essentially a license agreement with you. We've drafted language to go with that too. So you see the red area?
Right,
That's highlighted, yeah.
Right.
So that's where the
That's
signal
where-
house is located and also provides access for maintenance of that.
And that was it. So we didn't allow for not only for the equipment, but also for folks that have to go in and check it out.
Mhm.
So they need vehicular access as well as pedestrian access, and they don't want them sitting on the shoulder of the road. Because there isn't a shoulder. So essentially, we're here to say that we sort of were, well, we were very eager to hand it over. It was a good thing to do. But we were, as Carolyn says, preemptive, and a little bit quick. Didn't consider this piece, and we have contractors in there right now. That signal house is new.
right. Victoria, you had checked in, correct, with what may have to be done about the transfer. Now, do you want the property that you have here in red transferred back to the
Yes.
MBTA? Okay,
Well, originally, through the license agreement, we would have access to that, but I think Carolyn or Holly probably.
So attached to the plan is a draft license that our legal folks came up with for you all to review, and obviously it's draft, so if there's any issues or comments. And that license would allow us, the way it's written now, it would be for a year, for use of that piece that's highlighted in red. While we understand that it takes a longer time to do that permanent transfer, right, of that parcel or that piece of the parcel. So that process will take a little longer. So this is sort of the temporary fix for the immediate to allow us to continue to build the infrastructure and be there and finish construction. And then we would do the long term as probably during that year that this license is.
But it
in
take that
effect.
long, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
I believe it may have to go before town meeting. And then,
And then to the state as well.
and
for-
there's maybe an act of legislation
Mhm.
that, well, I would recommend if everyone else is agreeable, we turn it over to the town legal counsel
Yeah.
just to review.
Mhm.
And then, we'll go from there. I mean, it's,
We can also email you a copy of the license agreement. if it's
Right.
easier to get it to
Yeah,
town
please,
council.
that'd be
We'll
great.
do that.
Thank
We'll
you
get
so
it done,
much.
and with the plot plan.
it's kind of a,
And so you know, so that there is a driveway in there, we're gonna have a lot of protections there.
now, am I correct, and pardon me, to interrupt a little bit, that you do not want anyone to be able to use the driveway that was with the house?
No,
No,
Right.
that is not correct.
no,
Okay.
we actually just had a meeting on how we're gonna make that safe.
Okay, all right,
And that's
It
actually,
will be a right in, right out.
it's right in, right out.
Yeah.
Because of where it is and the.
right,
crossing.
because
I don't know if any of
it's
you-
actually,
Yeah,
right,
there's
A
a,
little more detail.
because of the enormous skew
right,
of the track there,
right,
we had to put median island approaches to where the track crosses Richmond Road.
Mhm.
So that median length on that approach blocks the driveway, so the
Right.
driveway becomes a right in, right out only driveway. That was another reason we approached the owners
Right.
right,
back in 2017, 18.
Yeah.
And so you need to take a piece of your land for the signal house. We're gonna have, if you remember, there was just a huge row of arborvitae
Beautiful.
that gave them privacy from Richmond Street. That's gonna be gone. The train's gonna be zipping by, the bells are gonna be going off. And they decided to sell us the whole parcel.
Mhm.
So that's what you see on the signal house. You don't see the roadway plans, but we have them and we can get them to you, for the median island. But it's just gonna be right out, right in, right out.
Uh-huh.
There'll be a sign on the median facing the driveway that says no left turn,
Mhm.
the red circle with the line to it and the arrow. And one way.
now, will the driveway be in the, for lack of a better term, the apron of the railroad tracks between?
No, it's the driveway to the.
Like,
front.
I know you don't have gates there. Do you plan to have gates there at all?
Not at the driveway, but at the
Right.
intersection there
At the
is,
street.
at
yeah.
the street intersection.
So when you come up Richmond Road,
Right, presently, there's no,
there's gonna be a gate
Oh,
at the
yeah,
end-
there isn't right.
at the end of the median that's gonna drop down and
Uh-huh.
prevent you from going
okay,
to the tracks
uh-huh,
from both directions.
mhm,
Right, the other median on the other approach, will have a similar gate, will go down.
right,
So that block of street will be cut off. You can't get, traffic can't get to the tracks.
right.
That,
okay.
that's the.
Because it seemed that to me when I was over the other day, that if you did take a left turn, you'd be into,
You'd be going the
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
way.
right, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah,
And you'd be within the
Well, you-
median of the
yeah,
arms, that's what,
that would be.
That's why we have to sign it. We have to make it a regulatory sign, so it's enforceable.
uh-huh,
Police see anybody
uh-huh,
try to sneak through,
uh-huh,
and make a left turn out of there, they can ticket them, and it's an enforceable sign.
Uh-huh.
We're not, it's gonna be one of those, you don't wanna turn left
right, yeah,
situations, period.
And yeah, at first it might be, people try to figure out what's going on, but
Right.
it won't.
yes, okay.
And I don't expect huge heavy traffic in and out of there
No,
either.
no, okay. All right,
Can I ask a question?
yes, oh, sorry,
So I know there was some talk in the email thread about when we were discussing the signal house and all that,
Mhm.
about tearing up the driveway. Someone had mentioned that, so that's not.
Yeah, at
part of
one
the.
point, there was that was many meetings ago, though, Victoria.
Oh,
We're past
okay.
that.
Okay,
Right,
We
the
wanna have
original contract
access.
plans showed us taking the house and taking the driveway out. That was
Okay.
before the property was conveyed to the Concom. That was our original design plans.
That's gone.
okay,
And so we've now, since, as Jean said, talked with railroad ops about leaving the driveway, and that's not a concern if it's signed properly for right in and right out only.
okay,
okay,
Yep. Which is good. I mean,
all right,
And where, as you can see on the plan, the piece we're taking actually doesn't even extend out to the
Right.
driveway.
no.
right.
hey, anyone else from the commission have any questions? I'm all set, okay, Steve?
Also.
All right, just for formality, I guess, well, I'll accept the motion to turn the proposal over to town council to have them review it and go from there.
I'll make that motion.
The motion made, do I hear a second? Motion seconded, Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Roll call, Steve Tripp. Steve Tripp says aye. Carolyn, Margaret, I don't know where I got that from. Margaret French,
Aye.
aye. Margaret French, aye. Charlie Sullivan, aye. Motion passes and we'll be on our way. All right, folks?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Chris, even though Chris is, all right, yes. All right, good point. All right, second item is discussion and vote on enforcement order at 0 Washburn Road, map 227, lot 56. Victoria, you want to do the rundown on the history, so I don't miss anything?
Yeah, so basically. This property had previous approval under an RDA, determination of applicability, to create a 3 to 4 foot wide path down to the water. The property owner did go beyond the approved width and in certain areas cleared up to 48 feet wide. That was mainly at the entrance, but there was some significant, clearing. A majority of the property is wet and the parts that are within the buffer zone. So I just want to note that. The commission did conduct a site visit there a couple of weeks ago. Margaret and Charlie, myself and Chris were present. I know you were not on the commission yet, but you were at the meeting that when we discussed going out there. So yeah, so it's up to the board if you'd like to, enact the enforcement order. And have them do restoration.
Okay, I'll open it up to discussion. Anyone have any input they want to put in, what they want to see done? That type of thing, because at the 48 feet that was at the roadway, do you have an idea about what the distance, we should have taken the distance from the water to the road, I guess?
When I looked at the parcel online, I want to say it was 100 feet from the water to the roadway.
Okay, so the roadway still would be in the area and was
Yeah,
supposed to
right,
be
but
the path.
yeah.
My feeling is that I think this is a situation where we're having somebody who is trying to do what they can to get away with things. And then if they're caught, they respond. On the other part of the property, Steve, is across the street where the house burned. When we went and we inspected that, we found that they were right on the like the border with everything they did. And there was a couple of things that they, you could kind of ticky-tack things that they had done that were within 50 feet, but nothing that would, disturb the area. Most of that, it was like piling wood, that type of thing. But so I think that it might be in order that, they came here for the area on 0 Washburn Road, on the south side of Washburn Road, where they cut the path to the pond, to the water. They had started, I believe they had started to do it. And they came before the commission and they got permission, they filed the paperwork. And then they went out and then they did what they wanted to do. And another thing to be aware of, they did encroach on a neighbor's property also, which was kind of, I won't say, you can't say it was clearly done, but the thing is, you found that here's a survey marker, granite survey marker, or concrete, I think it actually was. And so they, okay, you know, here's a marker, you know, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So as we say with fines, what is, could we, just for the record, tell what the commission could do?
So what we could do, got confirmation from town council that we are able to issue fines. The fines do go to the property owner regardless of who's doing the work or the violation. According to Mass General Law, we can issue fines up to $25,000 per violation. We'll have to issue a letter. And we need the property owners, information, put that on there. And we also, I just picked up a fine book from the police station that I know the building department uses when they issue fines, and you fill that out. And you send that along, and you have to send it to a few different places, like the PD, you think you have to send it to the courts. That way everyone gets notified.
Okay, now you say up to 25,000. What, I'm not looking for a $25,000 fine here at all.
No, of course.
But what is the criteria for setting the rate of the fine? Is there anything, or is it up to the commission?
It's up to the commission, individually. I've seen some commissions kind of do it incrementally. They start out with, like, depending on the violation, start out with $50. If they don't get a response, and they do $100. I've seen up to $300 per day.
Okay.
That's per day,
Good.
right?
Technically, each day, from my understanding, is a new violation, each day that they're not in compliance.
Well, I guess one of the things, a question that I would, first of all, do you know if we have a policy, or if we have had a past practice? Because in the 7 years I've been on the commission, we've never had to do this.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I don't believe Concom has ever had to issue fines. Like I said, I know the building department has, of course, different department, but.
Mhm.
So we don't have a past practice
Mhm.
for us. So we'd be setting one then, I guess.
What does the building department charge, do you know?
I saw an example of one today that they had charged $150. For a violation of, vehicles being stored like on the property, like a junkyard without the permit, or something like that. Mhm.
So we cleared 48 feet down the side of the road.
Yeah, that's closer
Right.
to the road, and then, in some other areas, it went up, some of it was like 12, there was some, I believe, was like in the 20 range.
It was like
Yeah.
30 foot,
It-
but he
Yeah.
also went down to the water and then turned and
Yes.
cleared along the water,
Exactly, yeah.
not
it-
just.
It's kind of, Steve, it's kind of like a funnel. It
Yeah.
starts out quite wide at the street, and then funnels down into basically what they were supposed to do.
Mhm.
There was talk about a well too, right?
That's on the.
That's on
other
the
property.
adjacent parcel, so this parcel, so there's 14 Washburn where the house was. And then directly across the street, it's 0 Washburn, they own the same, it's separate parcels, but they have the same owner. So that's where they've got approval for the house.
Now, is there anything about storing those boats down there in the, because the purpose of that pub a year ago, when they came for permission, was to carry a canoe down, use it and carry it back. And then no sooner did we say yes to that, then I don't know if you recall, he then wanted to build a dock.
Yeah,
And he was told no. And now it's what, a paddle boat?
Mhm.
There were 4 boats down there
On
piled up on the,
the other side.
yeah.
Now, another question I would have is they're rectifying the problem, so to speak. And to my thinking, it's more, okay, they went out, they got permission, they did that, and they did more as they came further away, or they got different ideas and so forth. And so how do you rectify that? And I would rather see them, turn to rectifying it than to say, okay, we're gonna make you, do a big project or something like that. What they have to do is let the stuff grow up. Get back to what really was was under the filing and, go from there, carry on from there. So the fine would be, in a way, if you were to say, we're gonna fine them $50 from tomorrow until things grow back, then, it's kind of prohibitive. I think it's going beyond what we have, what I would have envisioned for this problem, this property. But I guess, but one of the things I do think is that, we have an obligation to enforce the law as it is, the commission's, and I believe, there's a little bit of a buy-in and that you should be doing something from some neighbors. And I think we have to also take that into consideration too. So, to show even neighbors that, okay, we took it seriously and we do take it seriously.
Because if you don't find them for something, it's just gonna be one of those things that
Yeah.
I just ask for forgiveness later
Right.
and stuff, and then what's supposed to stop the neighbors from doing it, there's anything they have to do.
Right.
so.
They've already said that. That's what they said at our last meeting.
So. What's,
Somehow, I think he has to block off just that 4 foot so that it allows the other stuff to grow back in.
Or stake it,
Mhm.
just stake the path all the way down to 4, whatever it is, 4 feet
Um,
long.
Yeah,
would be kind of the,
Landscape and stakes and hammer it in the ground. And anything on the other side of the stake, you have to let grow back.
that sounds adequate to me.
because otherwise they're just gonna keep walking
Yeah.
up and down it and it's never
Yeah.
gonna grow back. So maybe, I don't know if there's any way to revegetate anything there.
Well, I kind
Or
of,
if
it
it's
would, I
just
think
let
it
it-
will grow, will grow back.
It'll
As
grow
long as-
eventually.
Yeah, as long as, this year, things will grow back, I think. To keep it to a point where there's only, the tread of walking back and forth, that's gonna be the mark in the ground.
Mhm.
So, we gave them a 4 foot, provision. I think it'd probably be a good idea to tell them to get it back, to stake out only 4 feet, get back to you, Victoria, if you don't mind it. Either you can take a trip out there when after they do it, or we as a commission or a commissioner or two could go out. But to do that.
And I think it has to be checked on
Right,
to make sure that they're not just, oh yeah, we'll put the stakes up.
right, oh,
but
yeah, that's my point.
Keep walking around too.
Either Victoria could go out sometime and, keep an eye on it. Now, but I do think there's, a little monetary pinch here,
Mhm.
so I'll hear anything on what you think of would be a reasonable fine for them to do. And the.
Would you say building did 150 a day for the cars?
I'm not sure if they did a day, but they did issue $150 fine.
$100 gonna make the thing twice if I'm doing it again, I would think.
Mhm.
$50 isn't really gonna, it's just gonna be,
Right.
yeah, take some more stuff.
Are you suggesting 100 a day till he does it or just 100?
Yeah, 100.
And should we tell him that, this, inform him that this is $100 fine, but that until they do adequately provide for the strip to be marked, that it could be $100 a day. Additionally, would that be,
Yeah, you can stipulate that in the letter, sure.
right?
How long do we give him to put up these stakes?
Well, do we?
Because I think then that would be the starting of now you're going to be fined per day.
How about 10 days? That sound,
Calendar days or working days?
yeah, right, yeah. 10
You and I know
cal-
that, but
10 calendar days. Yeah, actually, you
Okay.
could even say, and put like stakes with caution tape. You know, they can buy a roll of caution tape at
mhm,
Home Depot and buy the stakes, mark it out. And then everybody knows where they're supposed to walk and where they are walking. It's,
and do we want to stipulate that it only goes to the water and it doesn't take that turn
Right.
and curve around?
right, because it's not, I, as I recollect, it's probably about 50 feet beyond the, or property marker. Now, I don't know exactly what that property marker designated, but,
Mhm.
you know, it was on this, it was, I had looked at, you know, the, assessors maps of the property before, and so it seemed to me that where it was, where you took off to the right was more the, neighbor's
The
property.
neighbors.
So,
And I think he was the one at the meeting that said
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
was encroaching on his property.
exactly, so we have firm,
With
I
the
did.
boats being down there, are you gonna make them carry them back up?
that was part of the stipulation, was it not? Why don't you check on that, Victoria, just to confirm, and if it was that we, you know, specifically stated that they weren't to leave any boat on the water, that they remove it.
That
Okay,
was not stipulated. His request was a part to carry the boat
right,
down.
well, you know, if that's what he said, and that's in the
Yeah.
minutes and so.
Yeah, so the approval was for the 3 to 4 foot wide path down to the water.
Mhm,
It was brought up during the discussion that, the meeting, that the property owner wanted to potentially build a structure and store the boats or canoes on it. And the commission did, was not in favor of that. But that is not referenced in the permit.
okay,
But it was discussed.
all right, well, you remind him of that. I guess that would be the first thing to do, is to get back on track of what was approved. And then we'll hope that he'll do what he's had agreed to. That way, we don't have to specifically state it. So maybe it would be good in the letter to remind him. That'd be. All right,
Maybe attach his original RDA.
yes. Highlight it. All right,
Just as a side note, you had mentioned the well on 14. Board of Health went out, the health agent went out the next day. And inspected and told that particular abutter to get his well tested to make sure everything's okay. And Board of Health has sent out a long list of things that he has to do to remediate what's going on over there. Building also has a nice long list of stuff.
I just remember them bringing it up about the well and it wasn't covered over very well.
Right.
So the well in the house that burnt is covered by plywood and now it's buried under all the charred wood from the house fire. So all of the rain, everything is seeping through that into the ground, into this dug well. The neighbor's well is within 60 feet of that. So he's a little concerned, and as I said, the health agent asked him to test the well just to make sure everything's okay. This 14 Washburn has to cap the well following all Mass DEP regulations.
all right, you need a motion? Victoria, right?
Yeah, so
Enforcement.
are we looking to issue the enforcement order before we
Uh,
start fining, or?
well. Do we want to give the enforcement order? They are aware of the issue.
Mhm.
I'm open to, do we want to do an enforcement order and then have stipulations that they, you know, stake it out, I mark it with caution tape before and see what they do to that before we fine them, or do we want to issue a fine now, having the fact that they had previously agreed that this was what they were going to do, and then they didn't go and do it? What do you want to do?
If you want,
Sure.
What does the Enforcement Act say slash do?
so the enforcement order, so we can tell them, to stop work. We can either have them file an NOI, or a restoration plan. And then tell them what we need in the restoration plan. So it's up to you, or we can say, no further work shall be performed. The property owner shall take the following actions to prevent further violations of the act. So if we were to move forward with the enforcement order, I would suggest that one. That way we can put the stipulations of putting the stakes and things like that. I think that because we haven't issued fines before, and we typically, if someone goes beyond the scope, we do the enforcement order first. I think for consistency's sake, that's what the commission should move forward with, but of course, it's up to you guys.
Personally, I would be in favor of what Victoria said for this reason, and now something to put on an agenda and get. We don't have knowledge of a policy that the commission has had in the past. And so, you know, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants, so to speak, where if we go, we develop a policy and we stick to that policy. Now, you know, we're on, as they say in the legal, terra firma, solid ground. So that would be kind of my recommendation. And when we go to the next item on the agenda, that's a, you know, I think a good way of handling it. Anybody have any other input?
Yeah, no, I like the enforcement order first with all the stipulations we said and the 10-day deadline. And then after the 10 days, I don't know if we can put it into the enforcement order, but say at that 10-day mark, if nothing is done, now we will assess fines of.
And I would also suggest that they come to the next meeting so that and show us what they've done. And then, you know, with photographically showed us what they've done. And then we can go out and have it inspected from there. That sound reasonable? Yep. Victoria, that sound reasonable?
Sorry, I just said-
No, I know. All right, so I'll entertain a motion basically to issue the enforcement order and advise them that if they don't carry out the stipulations, the enforcement order within 10 days, that a fines of $100 a day could ensue. Does that sound right? Okay,
I will make that motion.
okay, motion made, motion seconded, motion's made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, passes unanimously. Tell me when you're ready to go on to the next one.
I'm ready, Charlie.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, the next issue is the same basic story, or even a little bit more egregious, at 112 South Main Street. And Victoria, who is the actual property owner?
So the actual property owner is Spencer Weaver and Joanna Wilson.
Okay, all right. So, I think everyone's a little, at least somewhat aware of what's been going on at 112 South Main Street. And Victoria kind of gave us a little bit of a timeline on the violation.
Did that letter from council go out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's been no,
So, yes, I put that in there. So after the letter was sent out, the applicant for lack of a better word. Bob Weaver, not the owner, did come into the office asking what he needed to do. He was then advised that he needed to file the notice of intent. He did state that he was working with an engineer and that he was 3 months out. I told him that we needed to see that he was working towards compliance and to have his engineer contact my office. That was the last I heard of it. So that was over a month ago now. So that's where we stand with that.
Okay, so the, as we know, the issue is basically when the gentleman involved, using the term, and the fact that he is not the owner. Just so, for the record, will you state that I have seen one of the owners at the property speaking to the land clearing company that was involved. So she is aware of the fact that the activity is there.
Yeah, just for
Okay.
clarity purposes, I didn't interrupt her.
No problem.
The letter and the enforcement orders were sent to both the property owner and the person doing the violation.
Okay, and neither one has responded that you know of.
Yep, since then, since he stopped by the office
Uh-huh.
after that, that's the last I've heard of it.
Okay, so it's not Joanna, the female's first name again.
Yeah, it says Joanna on the
Yeah,
property
okay.
card.
Okay, because Joanna
And Spencer Weaver.
Spence, so it's Joanna. All right, so I believe Joanna is deceased. And so it would be, I would like to see if it was in her estate. How this, because I think Joanna was the mother's name, and she is deceased. Spencer is Robert Weaver's son. So he might be the heir, the potential heir, or he might have been put on the property so that he is now the agent, I guess you would say. We might have to talk a little bit to town council. But that's kind of getting ahead a little bit. So we see where there's been no attempt to comply with the law in relation to this property. And I see it's not a big deal of a activity. It's basically, you know, they went in and they cleared brush and trees and so forth without coming in for notice of intent, and that or you know, get an order and so forth, which basically is routine. I mean, this isn't something that's a great problem where we would be if it had been handled properly. We would be saying, well, now you have to go back and, you know, plant new trees or whatever it is. We would, if they had come before the board, before the commission, and you know, just come up with a plan and so forth, we probably would have been able to work out for, you know, no consequence at all, really. So that's how I look at it, is that, you know, hey, you know, if you just had come and did what anyone else does. I mean, we've had people a number of times come before the board to cut a tree down within a buffer zone. And, you know, okay, yes, you can go and cut the tree down. And it's going to the letter of the law. You know, it is taking the spirit of the law, you know, very much in notice. So we have this issue. We've spoken to town council, and he had said, well, I'll send a letter, and he'd recommended not, you know, getting the fines right away, but to send this letter, you know, attorney's letter. The attorney's letter has not done what we had hoped it would do. So now we have to go forward or we, you know. It's all right, it's this guy here. So I would certainly be of the opinion that, they're flaunting the law here. There's a couple of issues here that we'll have to address. As to ownership and so forth, but that this is definitely a situation where a person is just saying, I'm above the law. Now,
So Steve, he was given a cease and desist order and went back out and cut more after, so,
Yeah, that, they've been meeting.
Okay.
You gotta sign the thing and everything.
okay.
so,
So
so
he is clearly,
the next step would be basically to issue fines. And where we would have to, because of civil fines, we would have to, if he didn't pay, we would have to then the town would then have to take him to court to get a court order to have him pay the fines. And, there will be issue there. Like I said, I'm saying, this is a clear case of, I'm above the law. It doesn't apply to me, that type of activity. And I would say we should move forward with all gusto, I guess you could say. I do have the apprehension that, if he doesn't comply or doesn't pay, and it goes to court, first of all, I believe we are going to have to advise the Board of Selectmen of the fact that it will be involving attorney fees. The other thing that I want a vote of the board that they are gonna support this to the end. Because if not, then, we're whistling in the dark. That would be how I feel about it, but
so you want approval from Board of Selectmen first?
I want to have them say that in this case, that they're gonna support the actions of the commission and not, a year down the road, because we spent, we had to spend $12,000 or something on legal fees, they no longer want to pursue. Yeah, I think that would be a waste of time if we're not gonna do it. So that's how I feel. I'll be happy to go before the board and explain it to them. But that's how I feel we should do. We should have a firm, document, so to speak, that we're gonna go forward with this. This is the thing to do. So I'll hear and listen to anyone else's input and what they feel.
I would say if you're gonna fund it, if it all gonna happen and all has to go to court,
Mhm.
there's gonna be court fees, then I think the fine should be big enough to pay the court fees.
Right,
Well, I think it should be fines plus
right,
court
yeah.
fees.
But yeah, good point. Yes, I think
Yeah.
that, in Washburn Road, it's a little bit of, I'm not doing that big of a thing, and it's kind of ignorance. In this case, I don't think you can, he initially came in knowing that he had to in late February, March. And when he didn't like what he heard or decided some other thing, he went off and he did something differently. The other thing that we have to remember is that he is not the owner. He is just the agent for the property owner. Whether the property owner knows what's going on or not, is beyond us. But I would actually end up being on the property owner, which maybe in the end will be a little bit of a pry to do something, but it's a shame that we have such a situation like here, because this is really, it's a thing we deal with 2 or 3 times a meeting, actually. You know, on the most meetings, but that's how I feel, so. I don't know if we want to make a motion that here now, or if we just want to say that we're going to notify the Board of Selectmen what's going on and what we feel the game plan should be. Do you want to vote on a game plan? Say that, you know, we do want to issue fines. We do want to pursue this as far as we can go.
BOS is meeting next Monday, right?
I believe so, the 7th.
I don't know if we'd be able to get
So
on.
there would be time to get it on the agenda.
Okay, I'll give the office a call tomorrow. And explain what I want to do and see if they'll put it on the agenda. They'll usually, I don't know when when they would have the agenda meeting, so to speak, between, usually was the chairman and town administrator. But I'll notify her of the fact,
You need me to,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
can as well.
well, I'll give it a call and
Okay.
tell what I want to do and what
Mhm.
I think should be done, and then if she
Okay.
has any questions, she can come and ask you.
Okay.
All
I'm
right,
not sure if that even might be an executive session
right,
part too.
right.
All right,
Yeah.
so maybe a motion to table pending
Okay,
discussion with
all right.
BOS, does that, or just do we have to do a vote? Just a vote.
Yeah, I don't know if
You don't have to do a vote.
Okay,
do you want, okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah,
But,
If we've got it on the discussion on record. so-
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Item number 4, discuss and vote on stormwater issuing authority. So,
Yeah, so
Victoria.
I'd be happy to explain. So I know we talked about this at a previous meeting briefly. So what this is about is the MS4 permit, stormwater permit for the town that we need to comply with. As part of the permit, we need to enact a stormwater bylaw, rules and regulations, and an application for projects to go through the stormwater permitting process. As part of this, we are looking at who the issuing authority should be. The planning board did meet a couple of weeks ago and is in favor of having applications go through the planning board unless the applicant already has to go to Concom. So I wanted to see if the commission would be amenable to that. I don't think it would be that many applications you would be getting. Because if they're doing that significant amount of work, it most likely would require site plan review anyways, and that would go through planning. So the idea for this is to make the process as easy as we can for applicants and residents here, to go through as least boards, as they can. So that way, if they're already going through Concom, and only going through Concom, they don't have to go to planning as well. And vice versa, if they're going to, planning, they can stick with the one board if possible.
that makes sense.
Okay,
Steve?
Yeah, I'm already through it.
yeah, he's on the planning board, so he was aware,
Yeah.
but.
So, yes.
So you get it no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah. And I think the idea of having the least number of boards, the least number of hurdles or
Mhm.
anything like this is the better. It's sometimes come to a board, oh yeah, you can do it, When, if I could, I'll have a motion that we agree with the planning board's recommendation. And that they would only come before Conservation Commission if there was some major issue with conservation laws.
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made and
I'll
is
second.
seconded. Okay. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Number 5, discuss and vote on signature authorization form.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, can I interject with the last item real quick?
No problem.
I just want to, get your opinion. Do you guys want, so as planning board is working on like revising the regulations, is that something this board also wants to see? I know Steve's on both and I also work for both, so I don't know if you guys are comfortable with that, just on the planning board side, or if you want.
That the planning board just, they put the regulations and we go along with their regulation. Is that what
Well-
you're really saying?
Yeah, well, if you wanted to if you wanted more input, if you wanted to like review the regulations at a meeting like the planning board will, or, you know, if you just. Like how much input you wanted to give, I just wanted to be clear. Okay.
I think it's, yeah.
As far as the stormwater itself, I'm fine with whatever planning board says.
Okay.
It's how it will impact
Mhm,
the wetlands
mhm.
that would be over and above that, and that's why they would come to us. So I don't know. Do you
Like-
agree, Charlie?
Yes, I mean, most like, say a project like this police station here. And there's a stormwater element to it, but the stormwater is really, it's draining. You know, constructively the way it was before,
Mhm.
so, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There was
Okay,
an
just wanted
issue
to
with the
make sure.
trench and so forth, just, but if it was an issue, it'd come to us, if not, it doesn't. All right. Okay, so, signature authorization form. When you get done.
Okay, so the signature authorization form, so yes, we did this with the bills and the payroll. But we should also do it, you know, with our permits, things like that. Previously, we've given the chair the authority to sign other people's names on those documents. You know, rather than waiting to get signatures if people can't come into town hall. It just makes the process quicker for us and for the applicants.
So I think if it's anything for Concom, then I think the chair should be just signing for the commission.
Okay.
It would only be those other papers, the
Mhm.
deeds and things like that, that we all have to sign,
Right.
that it wouldn't. But, I would be more than happy to give the chair the authority to sign on behalf of the commission.
Doesn't find me.
All right, so I'll accept the motion.
I will make the motion for the chair to sign any and all forms on behalf of the commission.
A motion made and seconded, all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. All right, next thing, discuss and vote on purchase of vests, shirts for the gatekeepers. So,
Yeah, so the gatekeepers asked that if they could get shirts or vests that they could put on when they go over there. They don't just open and close the gate, they go inside, look for trash, you know, make sure everything's going on, you know, while over there. Sometimes they do interact with residents, so I think I do agree with them that it would be good to have something that shows that they do represent the town and work for the town. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, if vests or shirts are preferred by them. I know sometimes they go there before and after work, so
Mhm.
maybe a vest might be easier
Yeah.
to take on and off for them. But I just wanted the commission to approve that, since I don't have
I
the time
guess.
to go.
yeah, shirts, you know, you could put on logo as you want.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of the vests. Did you have any chance to investigate on like a vest or anything? I'm just wondering like what,
I was thinking I didn't look at price and anything like that, but like the reflective.
Right.
The
ones,
high vis,
Yeah, so I've seen, I'm pretty sure Highway has some that they put theirs on. I think I've
Yeah.
seen
Mhm.
MassDOT.
Yeah.
Because they're able to put their.
Mhm.
so
logos on it.
probably is something that you, they probably could. Put a, oh. Now it's got the words out. Put the gatekeeper thing on relatively easy.
Mhm.
So maybe the vest would be better because it'd be easier for them to work with.
Yeah,
you
It
know,
was just keep it in the truck and just.
Right.
yeah,
Just in case. and
yeah,
You should have, they should have something at least says Freetown on it or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
something you can- You know, someone's gonna say, well, who are you?
Yeah.
You are locked the
Exactly.
gates, and it's like,
Yeah.
Should we have it say Conservation Commission?
yeah, I would have to say, yeah, to
Yeah.
the Freetown Conservation Commission.
Okay.
logo, For sure.
that'd be. We can go, so I'll accept the motion.
I'll make that motion. Oh. We're all good with what the motion is.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. To, motion that, we, investigate and purchase vests for the gatekeepers. With at least Freetown Conservation. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is discussion, vote on installation of a trash can at Porter Pastures.
Yeah, so this is something that's kind of been going back and forth for a while. The gatekeepers do go over there and do pick up quite a bit of trash sometimes. Most of it's like the fishing wire or some of the leftover raw chicken legs from the crab fishing. So it's been discussed, they're asking if we can put a trash can over there. They think it would be beneficial. I'm not opposed, I mean, up to the commission, if you'd be opposed to that or not. I think we would have to touch base with highway on that
Mhm.
and see if, who would be responsible for taking that out? Is that something that we're just would be able to take care of if we brought it to the road? Or is that something highway, you know what I mean, like the logistics
right.
of that? But the trash can itself, I don't think is a bad idea. the
Trash
gate-
can's not bad, it's the logistics that's gonna be the.
Exactly, yeah. The gatekeepers do not have town vehicles, it's their personal vehicle,
Mhm.
so I don't think it's right to have them take a trash bag, put it in their vehicle and have them dispose of it.
Right.
Themselves.
Right.
The problem is animals getting into it.
Yeah, we'd have to do one that, animals can't
Yeah.
get
the
into.
other thing is, once you give them a trash barrel, that everybody stops there and starts cleaning their car out. And
Right, so
barrels,
that's.
not just for what was there on the ground anymore, it's for all the
Yeah.
trash that they have.
Some parks just do a sign, carry in, carry out. Not sure what you guys think of that, but.
How big of an issue is this to your knowledge?
I think it's a little bit of an issue. They have been asking for a little bit now, and before I was talking about it with Kevin, he was the chair. But I think they would like the trash can there, or at least a solution of,
Uh-huh.
if they.
The thing is, the hope is, I guess, is that if there's a trash can, then there'd be more likely to throw it in there than to throw it on the ground. And I guess a lot of this stuff is, excess, kind of organic material, but the issue though is then, how do we get it out of there?
Mhm.
You know, would the highway department be willing to, on whatever day is trash day, to,
Mhm.
bring it to the street?
Yeah. Well,
At
we
least.
can have the gatekeeper bring it to the street. That's not a problem, but
Uh-huh.
we'd have to make sure it's gonna get picked up.
Uh-huh.
Even if there's no trash can, but if we provided the gatekeepers with trash bags and when they, when they're done, pick up the trash. Maybe the highway could pick it up. I don't know. It's
Was-
definitely have to be worked out, but,
What do they do with the town beach? They have trash barrels?
I think there's a trash receptacle there.
Right.
Jeff handles that. We don't handle that parcel. I can double check with them, with Jeff, he's the community program director, and see what they do over there and whatever
Okay.
method they're using is having some success and.
Also,
They don't have anything at the town graveyard. Used to have barrels down there, they don't have anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah, why don't we see if, but maybe actually he can facilitate, if not, if our gatekeepers can't do it, he can facilitate bringing the trash, getting the trash barrel there and getting it out. But
Who?
let's see what they do at the town beach.
Oh,
If
okay.
you- And kind of do we want to expedite it and you can just give me a call and I'll make a decision on that, so we don't have to bring it back to speak again of it, you know.
Okay,
You know, I was just thinking of the camel being the animal put together by a committee. Maybe if you could just get, me some information, then I'll make the decision if everyone's good with that. All right, minutes. Is there anything?
The only thing, and I already talked to Victoria, she's already fixed it at the very end. Where it says reappoint Mike McHugh to open space consultant. And underneath that, it's reappointing Mr. Rocca as gatekeeper. What was it? A couple of missing lines that got deleted.
yeah, I needed input of Mike's,
Yep.
name.
All right, well, they're doing this time.
Okay, thanks.
Other than that, it was just fine.
All right. I'll accept the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes are accepted. And any other business properly to come before the commission?
I have one,
right.
quarter past, I'm so sorry, no, I'll make it quick. One of the gatekeepers did encounter an issue of a truck, an empty truck being there when he was trying to close the gate.
Mhm.
He, looked around, couldn't find the owner. He did leave the gate open and ended up going back later that night to check and then close the gate when it was empty. So he did ask what he should do in the future if something like that happens. So I just wanted to bring that up to the commission, what the policy should be. I don't know if that's something, we should,
All right,
We would have to post a sign.
now,
What?
is there a sign that?
There's a
say-
sign that
says
says the park hours, it says
Yeah,
quarter past
it-
hours on it.
Right,
Yeah,
And when the gate will be open and closed, there's a sign there.
well,
any vehicles will be locked in, or, I mean,
well, it can become a police matter in that they could go down and try to locate, if they know who the registered owner is and it's someone from the area, maybe they can get it. When we re-register our vehicles now, the registry is asking for phone numbers. I don't know for sure, but I think that becomes part of the database. So it might be, I'll go ask at the desk here, if maybe when they print out a registration check, it might come with a contact number now.
I believe it does.
So
The police get anything the registry has.
right. But I don't know if it comes out on a printout or they have to go to a different database or whatever. We can find that out. That would probably be something that, I guess I would recommend the policy be that if there's a vehicle there after closing time, that the gatekeeper notify the police department for assistance in trying to locate the owner. Instead of them having to come back, again, or leave the gate open or something like that.
You don't really want them to end up facing somebody,
Yeah.
Right,
It's a police, I would say it's a police.
Yeah.
matter, and
Yeah.
They're not happy with it, they can have it towed.
right.
Mhm.
Would be considered trespassing. That would be, I guess it is. Guys are being conscientious here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very great. They do notify me if there, one
Yeah.
time there was a tree down. They notified me. I had highway go chop it up and get it out of the way. So they are very observant and taking good care of the place.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
All righty.
All right.
That be the case, no one else has anything else, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Motion is made. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We still got it here. 65 minutes, that, right?
You guys just want to sign those?
Whoops.